Yes, it's true. Jonathan Roumie, the man who plays Jesus in The Chosen, is officially looking for a wife. And it's not just a casual thing. It's something he's been praying about, thinking deeply about, and waiting for with a kind of patience that only someone with strong faith could have. The world may see him as the picture of peace and devotion, but behind that calm smile lies a man who's been waiting for a love story of his own, one written not by Hollywood, but by God himself. For years, fans have been asking the same question. How can someone like Jonathan Roumie still be single? He's charming, grounded, and spiritual, a rare combination in the entertainment world. And yet, it seems Jonathan's story isn't one of missed chances or bad timing. It's about divine timing. He believes that love, like faith, cannot be rushed. In fact, Jonathan has openly said that he's been praying for his future wife for a long time, trusting that God will reveal her when the moment is right. And now, according to those close to him, that time might finally be near. Jonathan Roumie isn't the kind of man to date just for fun or attention. He takes relationships as seriously as he takes his faith. In past interviews, he's admitted that he doesn't want to settle for someone who simply admires his fame. What he's really searching for is a partner who understands the weight of his calling, someone who can stand beside him not just during the glamour of red carpets and interviews, but through the quiet, prayerful moments that define his life. As he once put it, I want someone who can walk with me in faith, who shares my mission, who understands that life is not about fame, but about service. This search for a wife isn't driven by loneliness or public pressure. It's something much deeper, almost spiritual. For Jonathan, marriage isn't just about romance or companionship. It's about walking together toward God. He once said that he prays not only for a woman who compliments him, but for one who challenges him to become closer to Christ. Think about that. In a world where so many people chase relationships for validation, here's a man who wants a marriage that brings him closer to heaven. But here's the twist that most people don't know. Jonathan's desire to find a wife has actually intensified in recent months. Those who follow his journey closely have noticed subtle hints in his interviews and public appearances. He's been more open about his single life, more vocal about what he's looking for. And yet, as with everything in his life, Jonathan's approach to love remains deeply private and prayerful. While some celebrities might jump into relationships for publicity or convenience, Jonathan refuses to take that path. He has said multiple times that he's waiting for the woman God has chosen for him, not the one the world expects him to be with. "I've waited this long," he said in one interview, "because I believe when you're walking with God, even love happens on His schedule, not yours." This patience, this deep trust, has become one of the most fascinating parts of his story. It's easy to admire someone for their acting talent, but it's rare to find someone whose real-life choices reflect the same spiritual strength they portray on screen. And that's exactly what makes Jonathan Roumie different. Even when fans and media outlets speculate about his dating life, linking him to co-stars or rumored love interests, Jonathan stays calm and silent, as if to remind everyone that the truth doesn't need to be rushed. It will unfold in God's time. But make no mistake, Jonathan isn't closing his heart off. He's actually opening it wider than ever before. Close friends have described how he's been reflecting on what kind of partner he hopes to find. Someone kind, compassionate, and unshakable in her faith. Someone who will see beyond his fame and recognize the real Jonathan, a man who prays before every decision, who finds peace in simplicity, and who still believes in old-fashioned love. When asked about relationships, he once said something that caught everyone's attention. "I think love is one of the ways we experience God's grace most directly, but it has to be real love, love that comes from a place of truth and faith." These words reveal more than just a romantic hope. They show a man who believes love itself is sacred. To him, finding a wife isn't about completing himself. It's about joining with someone who helps him become more of who God meant him to be. And that's where things get really interesting. Because as we dive deeper into Jonathan's views on faith, love, and destiny, we start to realize that his journey toward finding a wife isn't just a love story. It's a spiritual mission, a path shaped by patience, prayer, and the quiet belief that when the time is right, the right person will appear. The question is, has that moment finally arrived? It's fascinating how Jonathan Roumie's story almost mirrors the very role that made him famous. In The Chosen, he portrays Jesus, a man of compassion, faith, and divine patience. And in real life, Jonathan seems to embody those same qualities in his search for love. Some fans even say it feels poetic, almost symbolic, that the man who represents holiness on screen is also waiting for something sacred off-screen, a God-written love story. But Jonathan has been clear about one thing. While he loves portraying Jesus, he knows he is human, and humans crave connection. He once admitted that yes, he does hope to fall in love and start a family one day, but he refuses to let that desire overshadow his purpose. If it's meant to happen, it will happen, he said. I trust that God already knows who she is. That statement alone tells us everything we need to know about his mindset. For Jonathan, love isn't something you chase. It's something you prepare for. He believes in becoming the kind of person you want to attract. That's why even though he's been single for many years, he hasn't wasted that time. Instead, he's used it to grow spiritually, to strengthen his faith, and to make sure that when the right woman comes along, he'll be ready for her. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. He even said once, "You can't pray for the right person if you're not also working on being the right person yourself." Those words resonated with fans across the world, because in a culture obsessed with dating apps, quick romances, and overnight relationships, Jonathan's approach feels like a breath of fresh air. He's not searching out of desperation, he's searching with devotion, and that devotion has earned him respect even from people outside of faith circles. Some say he's redefining what it means to wait for love with purpose. But there's another layer to this, one that makes his search even more intriguing. Jonathan's growing fame has made his personal life a public topic of curiosity. Every time he's spotted with a female co-star or appears in a friendly photo online, fans start buzzing with rumors. Is she the one? Has he finally met someone? Yet every time, Jonathan either stays silent or gently redirects the attention back to his faith. He doesn't deny the curiosity, he just refuses to let it define him. And in a way, that silence has created even more mystery around him, because now everyone wants to know, who could possibly be the woman worthy?
Some fans have even started joking that Jonathan might meet his future wife on the set of The Chosen, or maybe through one of his faith-based projects. After all, most of the people he works with share his belief system and values. But those who know him personally say that Jonathan's future wife might not come from Hollywood at all. She might be someone completely outside that world, someone humble, grounded, and far from the spotlight. Someone who loves him for who he truly is, not the character he plays. That idea aligns perfectly with what he once said. Fame can attract people for the wrong reasons. That's why I pray for clarity, that when the right person comes, I'll recognize her not by how she looks, but by the peace she brings. That last part, the peace she brings, is deeply telling. It's not about excitement or spark, it's about peace. The kind of peace that comes when something just feels right. Jonathan's idea of love isn't about butterflies or movie moments. It's about calm, mutual faith, and purpose. And that's what makes his journey so beautiful to watch, because he's not chasing a fantasy, he's waiting for something real. But waiting doesn't mean sitting still. Jonathan has continued to focus on his mission, using his platform to inspire millions and lead others closer to God. Through interviews, speeches, and fan interactions, he often talks about relationships in a way that feels almost like guidance, not from a preacher, but from a man who has lived long enough to understand that love is more than emotion. It's commitment, grace, and growth. Every relationship, he once said, should help you become a better person, not just happier, but holier. And yet, despite his unwavering faith, Jonathan has also admitted that this journey hasn't been easy. He's felt lonely at times. He's questioned why God has made him wait so long. But even in those moments of doubt, he finds reassurance in prayer. He said, "There were times when I thought maybe it's too late, maybe I missed my chance. But every time I feel that way, I'm reminded that God's plans are never late. They're perfect." That mindset keeps him steady, even when the world keeps asking him the same question. Why are you still single? What's fascinating is how open he has become about this stage of his life. In recent months, during panels and faith-based interviews, he's hinted that his heart is more open than ever. He's begun to talk more about love, partnership, and the importance of having someone to share his mission with. He even joked once that if his future wife is out there watching his interviews, she should know he's praying for her. That single statement sent fans into a frenzy. Thousands commented that they were volunteering as tribute. But jokes aside, the sentiment was genuine. He truly believes she's out there somewhere, and that their paths will cross when both are ready. Still, the mystery remains. Has he already met her without realizing it? Could she be someone in his circle, quietly waiting for the right moment too? Or will God surprise him entirely, introducing him to someone new in a way only divine timing can arrange? That's the question that keeps everyone guessing, and Jonathan, patient as ever, continues to trust that the answer will come soon enough. And maybe that's the most inspiring part of his story, the quiet hope that even in a noisy world, true love can still be guided by something greater than coincidence. What's truly remarkable about Jonathan Roumie's story is how he's turned waiting into a form of worship. For him, this isn't about loneliness, it's about preparation. While many might see singleness as an empty space that needs to be filled, Jonathan treats it like a sacred space where he's learning, growing, and listening to God. That perspective changes everything. Instead of chasing after love out of fear or pressure, he's shaping himself into the kind of man who can honor it when it finally arrives. As he once said, "You don't wait by doing nothing. You wait by becoming someone worth waiting for." And maybe that's what sets him apart. Because Jonathan doesn't see finding a wife as a solution to a problem, he sees it as the next step in a divine story that's still unfolding. His friends say he's incredibly intentional about how he spends his time. He's surrounded by faith-filled people, he prioritizes prayer, and he treats every new friendship with respect. Nothing about him feels rushed or random. He believes that when two people are meant to be, the connection won't need to be forced. It'll feel natural. Peaceful even. Fans who have followed his interviews closely can sense that subtle shift in his energy lately. He's talking more about partnership, about family, and about what kind of life he hopes to build beyond the spotlight. In one recent conversation, he mentioned that his dream isn't just to get married, it's to build a marriage that glorifies God. "I want a love that points people toward faith," he said. "That's the kind of relationship I'm praying for." And hearing that, you can tell this isn't just about romance for him, it's about purpose. Jonathan's idea of love is not flashy or cinematic. It's slow, steady, and built on truth. He's often said that what attracts him most in a woman isn't beauty or fame, but authenticity. He once shared, "There's something beautiful about someone who's grounded, who doesn't need to impress, who lives simply and with grace." That quiet simplicity seems to be what he's drawn to, someone who's not chasing attention, someone who finds peace in small things, someone who can laugh, pray, and share silence without needing to fill it. It's refreshing to hear someone in Hollywood talk about love this way. Most actors in his position would be caught up in the whirlwind of celebrity dating or media drama, but Jonathan keeps his private life sacred. Even when he's asked directly about his relationship status, he answers with humility and humor. He knows people are curious. He just doesn't let that curiosity change how he lives. Instead, he uses it as an opportunity to talk about faith, patience, and what real love looks like. And maybe that's why people connect with him so deeply. Because behind the fame and admiration, he's still just a man searching for something real, something pure. His journey feels relatable, not because of who he is, but because of what he represents. The hope that even in a world full of temporary things, something lasting still exists. But here's where the story takes a deeper, almost mysterious turn. In several of his recent appearances, Jonathan hinted that he has been feeling called to something new in his personal life. He didn't specify what that meant, but many fans took it as a quiet signal. Could it mean that his season of waiting is coming to an end? That maybe, just maybe, he's closer than ever to meeting the woman he's been praying for? The thought alone has sent his followers into a swirl of anticipation, and honestly, who could blame them? It feels like the perfect time. The Chosen has given Jonathan a platform not just to act, but to connect hearts across the world. His fame has grown, but so has his sense of humility. He's used that fame not for self-promotion, but to spread messages of hope and faith. It's as if his career and his personal journey have been running side by side. and now both seem to be approaching a new chapter. Could this next chapter include love? Jonathan's words suggest that he believes so. In one podcast, he admitted that he's been praying more intentionally about relationships. "I think I'm ready," he said softly, almost like he was thinking out loud. "I've spent a lot of years learning who I am and what God wants from me, and I think I'm finally ready to share that life with someone." Those words struck fans deeply, because they sounded different. They sounded like a man not just talking about faith, but about possibility. That's the thing about Jonathan. Even when he speaks calmly, there's a quiet intensity behind his words. You can feel that he doesn't take this lightly. To him, love isn't about finding someone to complete him. It's about finding someone who can walk beside him as he continues to grow. And if you listen closely, that's what he's been preparing for all along. Not a perfect relationship, but a holy one. And yet, even as he seems more open than ever, Jonathan keeps his cards close. He hasn't mentioned any names, he hasn't shared any clues, and he continues to live his life with grace and humility. It's almost as if he's protecting the sacredness of what's to come. After all, when you've spent years trusting God's plan, the last thing you want to do is rush ahead of it. But still, fans can't help but wonder, who will she be? Someone from his past, perhaps, who reappears at just the right moment? Or maybe a new face, someone who's been praying for him without even realizing it. Whatever the case, one thing's for sure. Jonathan Roumie's heart is open, his faith is strong, and his story is far from over. And maybe that's why his journey captivates so many people. Because it's not just about him looking for a wife. It's about him living out the same message he's been teaching others through The Chosen. That real love, like real faith, is patient, trusting, and always worth the wait. There's something incredibly rare about watching a man like Jonathan Roumie navigate fame without losing his humility, and love without losing his hope. Most people, when they achieve the kind of global recognition he has, either become more guarded or more reckless. But Jonathan has managed to stay balanced, grounded in faith, and quietly confident in his journey. It's as if he knows something most people forget, that everything meaningful, even love, unfolds when you're truly ready, not when the world demands it. And perhaps that's what makes his current season so interesting, because lately Jonathan has been speaking more openly about trust. Not just trust in God, but trust in timing, trust in the unseen, and trust in the process. When he talks about love, there's no desperation, no anxiety, no hurry. There's only patience and peace. He once said in a recent talk, "I've learned that waiting doesn't mean nothing's happening. Sometimes it means God is preparing both hearts, mine and hers, in ways I can't see yet." Those words carry so much quiet power. They show us that Jonathan's waiting isn't passive. It's active faith. He's not sitting back, hoping for something to fall into place. He's living, growing, praying, and trusting that when God moves, it'll all make sense. That's the kind of perspective that turns a simple love story into something divine. And yet, what's fascinating is that even with his deep trust, Jonathan is still human. He's admitted that being single at 50 isn't always easy. Sometimes it makes him question, sometimes it makes him reflect. In one interview, he laughed softly and said, "I get asked all the time, 'When are you going to get married?' And I just smile and say, 'When God tells me it's time.'" That calm confidence isn't just charming, it's deeply inspiring. Because in a culture that glorifies rushing, he's unashamedly choosing to wait. But here's something most people don't realize. Jonathan's journey isn't just about waiting for love. It's about preparing to give love. He's the kind of man who doesn't see marriage as just romance. He sees it as service. To him, being a husband means leading with humility, protecting with prayer, and loving with consistency. He once said, "A true marriage is two people helping each other get to heaven." And when you think about it, that's not just beautiful. That's powerful. Imagine that. Wanting a marriage not just for happiness, but for holiness. That's what Jonathan is after. That's what makes his story so different and maybe so magnetic. Because even though he's a celebrity, his heart beats like that of a pilgrim. searching not for fame or thrill, but for grace. And yet, the suspense continues. Because Jonathan has been giving subtle signs lately that this season of his life might be changing. In one recent podcast, when asked if he could see himself married within the next few years, he smiled and replied, "If that's what God has planned, then I'll be ready." He didn't say if it would happen. He said when. That single word, when, was enough to make his fans' hearts race. People began to wonder if maybe he's already met someone quietly, someone he's chosen to protect from the public eye until the time is right. It wouldn't be the first time a celebrity has kept a relationship private, but with Jonathan, it feels more sacred than secret. He's not hiding anything out of fear. He's guarding something precious out of respect. After all, when you've prayed for someone for years, you don't announce it to the world. You nurture it in silence.